Hello everyone, this is Rajiv Talreja and
This is Karan Asija.
we are here on a Facebook Live today where we are going to have a conversation on sales tips for business owners. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes before more people come on live. And if you're already live, tell us your name, tell us which city you're from, tell us what you do in the comment section. So we give you a quick shout out. Okay. Hi Lakshmi, thank you for joining in. Thursday evening. Hello Nasir.
Hi Nasir.
Hi Arihant.
Hello.
So we have Anju. Awesome. So we look forward to this Facebook Live today because sales is a burning issue.
Oh yeah, and it's a very interesting topic because it's the topic of sales which brings in so many dimensions and perspectives because people going through same situations experience it very differently. So yeah. I'm looking forward.
Absolutely. Hello Giridhar. Hello Rajiv. That sounds so funny to say. Awesome. Okay, we'll wait for a minute more. In the meanwhile, just drop in the comments. What do you do? Tell us a little bit more about your business. What do you do? Hello Rajesh. Hello Amit. Hi Saumil. Hello Manish. So we're going to talk about what we're going to give out today is 5 facets of sales that we believe that every entrepreneur needs to keep in mind so that they're effective in increasing their sales and also building consistency in their sales. Yep. Because I believe a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from inconsistent income.
Agreed.
They sell in patches.
Yep.
And when they sell in patches, that's why they have spikes and fall. And when you have such spikes and fall, the only thing you can do is sustain. Like when you have the spike, you save that money so that you spend it in your fall. So it's not really.
Totally agreed. And the surprising part is it's not only a function of skill. Yeah. Because when you go talk to these kind of entrepreneurs who have this inconsistency, they are pretty good at selling. It's just that the consistency is missing, and that's why the ups and downs constantly happen.
Absolutely. And the other interesting aspect about selling is that everything in sales is dependent on the entrepreneur itself.
Oh, yeah.
The entrepreneur is the sales superstar of the business.
So you have no clue how many business owners I interact with, and we are the only people who are selling, and everything works on them.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that too.
Awesome. So let's get started with what we believe are the 5 key sales tips that you got to keep in mind if you're a business owner. And even if you're a sales professional, this is going to be relevant for you. And Karan and I will share 5 tips with you. And then towards the end of it, we will ask you to ask your questions on the comment section. And we'll answer those questions, as many as we can tonight. Sure. So Karan, do you want to get started with the first sales tip?
Sure. So getting started, and I think it's the right tip to start with. Mm-hmm. Fundamentally, I think everybody needs to understand that sales is a skill.
Yeah.
And sales is not equal to your product and service.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I mean by that. A big mistake which a lot of people do, whether they're sales professionals or they're business owners, they attribute their selling performance and their selling ability to their product and service. Yeah. But my belief is that irrespective of how good or how bad your product and service is, success in sales depends on the skill you are able to showcase to show value to your customer.
Yeah, and I think for me that statement of selling is a skill, and it's not about your product or service. What it means is that a lot of businesses overemphasize on product knowledge and product information, even when they are training their sales team. Agreed. Or even when the entrepreneur himself or herself is going out there to sell, they are busy focusing on product information and forgetting that sales is a conversational skill.
Absolutely.
It's really about understanding the needs, matching the benefits to the customer's requirements, and then having a natural conversation of decision making. So I truly believe that it's a skill. And a lot of entrepreneurs, the mistake they've made is the reason why they're not able to replicate themselves is because they speak passionately, they communicate passionately, they assure their customers, they say, trust me, I won't let you down, and they are product knowledge experts or they have the knowledge of their service. So they do sales in their own haphazard manner of just dumping product information on the customer, showing conviction to the customer, showing passion, assuring the customer, requesting the customer, and they close a deal. And obviously, when they start building a sales team, that same passion does not come through.
Absolutely.
And that's why the entrepreneur gets dragged back into sales conversations, especially in a B2B context or in a high-value B2C context where the entrepreneur gets driven back in. Why? Because the entrepreneur for himself or herself has not focused on the conversational skill of selling. And because they've not learned the conversational skill of selling, they're not able to develop conversational skills with that when they're hiring team members, and then they get stranded in this game of
I
sales.
totally agree. And if you look at any legend in the space of sales, yeah, it's never been because of what you just exactly said, so beautifully put. It's not really about the product and service.
Yeah.
You have, if there's any person who's really good at selling, as long as they have conviction and they're able to showcase value to the product, which means it needs to be something valuable, they can sell. That's my belief.
Absolutely, absolutely. Then the second one. Here's what I would continue based on what we just shared. The second element that I believe is that sales is about asking questions. It's not about puking information to your customer. I find it funny. A lot of times we have sales people who come to pitch to us their products and services as entrepreneurs. When they come to pitch to us, the biggest mistake they make is they start the meeting opening a laptop, starting a PowerPoint presentation about us. These are our products. This is what we do. These many years we are in business. And I'm like, wow, this guy didn't even spend any time getting to know what I need and do I need it or not.
You know what, Rajiv, when people do that, I shamelessly say, you know what, shut the laptop, just talk to me. I just tell them, don't show me the laptop, otherwise I'm going to walk out.
Yeah, because that's where we get it wrong, that we think sales is about presentation. And I want you to understand this. Sales is not a presentation. Sales is a conversation. I'm going to re-emphasize this again and again today. The people who think sales is a presentation, they by heart information. And they go out in meetings and they puke out that information to their customer. And at the end of the meeting, they feel very happy saying, "Aaj sab bol diya." Today I said everything I had to in my script. And they walk out feeling that this was a great meeting and there's going to be great business coming from there. And they never hear back from that customer, and the customer doesn't even bother asking anything, purely because there was no conversation. There was no understanding of whether this customer needs what I'm offering, what are the needs and pain points of this customer. So sales is more about asking questions. In fact, the ratio I recommend to salespeople is 65-35. 65% of the time, you should make sure that your customer is speaking, and 35% of the time, you need to be speaking. And while you are speaking, that 35% should largely be you asking questions.
So the interesting, based on what you just said, Rajiv, I think again, very beautifully put. The interesting part over here is that it's funny how people measure how good a sales meeting is with the volume they speak. Yeah. So I've interacted with so many business owners. In fact, I've seen so many sales meetings. And let's be honest, I think I've also done these mistakes in the past myself, where if I speak in an amazing manner and the person is giving me its undivided attention without a single question, the outcome is okay, great meeting. But in fact, for me, that's the most pathetic meeting to have, because if your customer is not asking questions, you're not having a conversation, how do you know whether they're fulfilling the need or not? And one more point I want to bring in what you said in the previous point, matching. Your requirement to ask questions is to make sure that you do match the following. I see like a program to make sure that you take the right benefit, not feature, benefit to match it and show your customer how it is addressing their need. And that can only happen by questions. It can only happen by conversations. Otherwise, you're just dumping information to force or convince, for lack of a better word, to tell your customer that this works, but it doesn't.
So to kind of anchor it in all your memory so that you never make this mistake, if you're going out there and you're the only one speaking in that meeting and you've covered every piece of information on your brochure, then that was like you went in for an Indian Idol audition, you sang, you thought you sang well, the judges didn't even waste their time commenting and they said next, and you walked out thinking, mera selection ho gaya.
Exactly.
Okay? Please understand this, sales is a conversation, and the conversation requires you to ask questions so you understand what your customer needs, and then matching their needs with what your product or service can offer. When you find that match, that's when you found the right customer. So that's what you need to keep in mind. How many questions are you asking? What percentage of the meeting you are talking? What percentage of the meeting is your customer talking? And it's always great if your customer speaks more than you do.
And you want to understand the reason why that is important is so that you can showcase value. People are willing to buy as long as they are clear how it is addressing their need. It cannot happen without a conversation, my friends. You can't dump information on people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Karan, you want to jump in on the third point?
So this is, according to me, a very interesting point, because I see a lot of business owners complain that all my customers constantly are cribbing that the price is high. I mean, people are not willing to pay. What do I do? Because if I don't charge that much, I'm not making enough money. Here's my take on this. Yeah, there is no such thing as high price. The game is not about price. The game is about value. And if somebody does not see value in your price,
yeah. So I like what you said. There is no such thing as high price. I believe there's only one thing, which is the wrong customer.
Absolutely.
So either you're targeting the wrong customer or you're offering the wrong product
to that customer.
Yep. So there's only a wrong customer. There's
Pretty
nothing
much
called as a high price. And remember this, people are always willing to pay the price. Okay. If people were not willing to pay the price for what they perceive as value, then Coffee Day and Starbucks wouldn't have existed. They don't sell the best coffee on the planet, but they sell a coffee that sells. So you need to understand this. If people are spending 150, 200 rupees on a cup of coffee, it means they are buying something more than just the coffee.
Absolutely.
And they are selling it in a certain way. Now, obviously, they're not selling that coffee to everyone. So you need to know who is your right customer.
Right.
Because if you're offering your products and services to the wrong person, that's like pushing this wall and getting tired and saying the wall isn't moving. The wall is not supposed to move. If you want to get out of the room, you don't push a wall. You find the door and you get out of the door. So you find the right customer and you offer it to them. There's nothing called as a high price. There's only something called as a wrong customer.
But a different dimension I would like to add to this, Rajiv, is because I feel even though there are a lot of business owners who sometimes are focusing on the right customer, but honestly the products are not able to give the value which the customer is looking for.
Yeah.
So while it's very rightly said that there's no such thing as there's no such thing as high price, it's about the customer. You need to make sure that after offering value to the customer, sometimes you got to look back and say, is it valuable enough for the customer to pay? And I promise you this, like Rajiv said, there is always a customer for every product as long as you're able to showcase value. It's always a value game. People are willing to pay the price as long as they get what they want in exchange for the price.
And I would say lack of sales is actually a symptom. If you look at it, it's a symptom of a deeper root cause. And the deeper root cause is either you're targeting the wrong customer or you're offering something that does not add enough value. Now, sometimes people say, but competition has increased, Rajiv, and there are competitors who are selling it cheaper. If there are people who are able to sell the same product at the same value or the same quality for a cheaper price, then stop crying and fix your operations.
Absolutely.
Because why should someone pay you more money for something that they're getting at a lower price, which is of equal value and equal quality?
Absolutely.
You may think, I'm a good human being, so they should buy from you. Who cares if you're a good human being? At the end of the day, the customer wants to buy from someone who's providing the highest value at the lowest price possible. So you got to be competitive, but at the same time, you got to be able to communicate how are you different, what is it, why should people buy from you? If you're not able to answer that question, then you can cry and weep all your life and behave like this victim who's been massacred by the competition, but you are to blame because you have not bucked up, you've not made yourself stay relevant in business. True. So we are making 2 points here. Number one, there's nothing called as a high price. There's only called as something called as a wrong customer, which means you're not targeting the right customer who has the capacity to pay, the willingness to pay. Secondly, you got to stay competitive. You got to stay relevant. You got to make sure that your value is way higher than anybody else. Like so many people come to us and say, oh, I'm getting a business coach who's going to do coaching for 1 year for 1 lakh rupees. All the best is all we say to them. Why? Because if a guy is giving you coaching for 1 lakh rupees for 1 year, then God bless you and him. Okay, we don't get into, oh my God, there are people selling coaching for 1 lakh rupees. We've defined our value. We've backed it with impact and results. We've created a goodwill. We add value to people. And therefore, we don't have this price competition that we face. So we worked on it for years to be able to reach the stage. Again, this is not overnight stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely.
And that's the other challenge with entrepreneurs. When they face a rejection today or tomorrow, they want overnight solutions. That's why they log into a Facebook Live to know sales tips. I'm telling you, it's not overnight.
So you can add a different dimension.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of people face this challenge also because they don't have conviction in what they're selling.
Yeah.
Think about this. You want to price it high because you don't deserve it, but you don't have the confidence in selling it. Obviously, people are going to see through it and are willing to pay for it because you have not bought into your own product and service. And this again, I'm going to completely double what Rajiv said, that it's not an overnight game because you have to try your product, you have to test your product, you have to build proof of concept that what you are selling actually adds value, and that's what gives you the conviction to charge the right price. I'm of this belief. It's not about overcharging because karma is going to bite you, no one's going to buy you. It's about what you deserve, and if what you deserve is high, the to charge, as long as you are confident and you have the conviction that you deserve it. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get it wrong, because sometimes I feel they don't have the confidence in their own product and service.
Yeah.
And that's when in it, someone talks about price. You know what? No problem. I'm willing to negotiate. That's the immediate next step. I've lost the game right there, man.
So you want to understand this. Like I said, lack of sales is a symptom, not the root cause. The root cause is you're either selling to the wrong customer or selling the wrong product to the wrong customer. In the same way, like what Karan said, negotiation is also a symptom.
Yep.
Which means if people are negotiating with you and you're getting stuck in the negotiation battle, then there are two things. One, you've not differentiated your brand. Two, you've not marketed yourself.
Absolutely.
Because when you build a brand for yourself and what you do, you negotiate with brands. They feel ashamed to negotiate with brands. So ask yourself, when you walk into a mall where there's a fixed retail price, you don't dare not negotiate with the sales company. You won't go to a Zara and say, "Bhaiya, 1000 rupees ka sweater hai, 500 mein dekho." He will show you a you don't want to see. Okay, so you want to understand, people don't negotiate with a brand. Okay, the other thing is, when you have marketed yourself and you have a pipeline of leads, you don't feel insecure about someone negotiating. You always hold your price and say, "This is my price, take it or leave it."
Yep.
Okay, so the best tool for negotiation is actually marketing.
Absolutely.
It's not really what you say and how you say it, is largely marketing. Because when you have a pipeline of leads, you are like, "This is the price, take it or leave it. If not, you next." You don't feel insecure about letting people go. And when you start rejecting your customers, then your customers don't like to be rejected, so they come back and buy from you. So please understand this, because a lot of entrepreneurs keep crying about price war, comparison, negotiation, bargaining, but they don't understand that the deeper issue is you've not built your brand, you've not marketed yourself. You need to spend time, effort, and energy in that area.
And what you just said right now is actually leading to the next step, which we should be sharing with everybody on the live, is that, you know, people get insecure because of the need to generate sales for themselves, and therefore they get into this battle of trying to win every single deal, which, my dear, is going to be the better of bad news for you, is never going to happen. It is impossible for you to crack every single deal, and that's where the problem begins. Because people have this mindset or this attitude that if the deal doesn't work, that means it's no deal, and they get into this fear of rejection, which bogs them down. But what they need to understand is that sales is a numbers game. It's like a video game, literally, which means it's not about, you know, I'm on this belief that sales has to be win-win, which means that you need to provide value to your customer and you need to get paid for the value, which is win-win. But the philosophies which people play the game with is win-win or no deal. What I would like to say, it's not about win-win or no deal. It's win-win and the next deal. Because if not you, then there's always someone else.
And the context of win-win or next deal is also a little different in my view, Karan. The way I see it is, here's what people do. They go into a sales conversation. The customer does not buy. When the customer does not buy, they don't keep up the relationship with that customer. They don't continue the relationship because the deal did not close. They even close the relationship.
Yeah.
And I have a rule. If you're the kind of person who does not keep up a relationship with a potential customer because one deal did not go through with that customer, then you're only communicating to that customer that you are a greedy person and you're only interested in the relationship as long as they were selling or they were buying from you. But the key for me is I want to shift the paradigm and say win-win or not no deal, win-win or next deal. So when you're talking to a customer and say things don't work out, okay, where they were trying to buy something at a way lower price than your boundary, then you got to tell the customer, "Hey, you know what? No problem. Go ahead and buy it from someone else because I can't offer it at this price. Having said that, here's a commitment I want. We should remain friends. We should stay connected. When I call you, you should pick my call. When you call me for anything, I will pick your call. Let's stay connected. And whenever, if this deal did not work out, no problem. Let's keep the relationship alive. And as the trust and relationship grows, if business comes on the way, we do business together. If not, we still remain friends." I think that is the sign of an authentic salesperson. And I've seen this even in a lot of trainers and coaches today.
Oh, yeah.
When they are selling from the stage, till day 2, when they're or in their webinars, when they're teaching, they're all "we love you, we love you, we love you" kind to the participant. The moment they finish their sales pitch, they see there are certain set of people who are not going to buy, they stop answering their questions in the program. I'm like, what?
That's sad.
Yeah, so you want to understand this, that it is win-win or next deal. If not today, someday. And even if never, we at least build a relationship, because sales is about building relationships. And a lot of people forget that, and they have this transactional mindset of, oh, win-win nahi tha, so no deal, which means no relationship also.
So based on what you said, Rajiv, is a very interesting perspective. Okay, I've noticed in a lot of organizations, let's just say a sales manager or senior sales professional leaves, they take their customers with them. You know, want to know why?
Yeah.
It's because they have a relationship.
Absolutely.
Because people buy based on relationships, and some people believe, okay, if they leave, all my clients are going to go. That's actually a reflection on how good that salesperson is, because they built a relationship, and no matter which organization they work for, their customers follow them. Yeah. That's actually, if you look at it, that's priceless. Yeah. And I feel that's the reason why the relationship part of selling is extremely important, because people buy people based on emotions, and showing that value is what ultimately dictates the sale. Another point I want to make is that when there's win-win or next deal, I mean, let's face it, okay, there could be situations where your customer's not ready to buy, your customer's not in a situation to buy. At that point of time, it's not meeting their need. So what? Why would people buy if they don't have a need for it? Can you be okay with it? Yeah. And by keeping the relationship, when the need is there, when they are able to manage to pay you that amount, when they know for a fact it's going to be value for them, they will buy. But by not maintaining the relationship, you're losing the customer forever. Makes sense?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you what, Karan, I think this is such a hot topic that we could go on all night on this one.
Oh yeah.
So here's what we are going to be doing. I would want you guys to type out what has been your key highlight based on what we've shared. So we've given you a few principles, few sales tips on this Facebook Live. The first one, we told you that sales is not about just product information. Selling is a skill. So you got to focus on building that skill of conversations. So sales is not just about dumping product information. The second point we gave you guys was that sales is about asking questions. Sales is not a presentation. It's not a performance. It's not where you have to go and puke out every single line in your PPT or brochure. It's not a performance. It's a conversation. So you got to have this art of asking questions and listening and matching needs and understanding needs with your customer. So that's the second thing that we told you. The third thing we said was there is no such thing as high price. There is only a wrong customer. And the fourth thing we left you with was the fact that it's not win-win or no deal. It is win-win or next deal. Keep the relationship going. So based on what we've shared so far, what has been your key highlight? Okay, so put that in the comments below. We have one more tip to share with you guys while you put out the comments. So Girish says, sales is building relationships. Key highlight for me. Kudos to you, Girish. Yep, it's the keys to keep the relationship alive. Saumil says win-win or next deal. Absolutely. Aman says keep the relationship. Edwin says continue the relationship even if the deal didn't go through. I think everybody loves that one, right? Yeah. Okay. Saumil says 35% we speak, 65% customer speaks. Absolutely. Arghya Ghosh says understanding the needs and requirement of the customers. Awesome. So we've got you guys sharing. The rest of you who are here, make sure you type it out in the comments. Let's go with the last one, Karan.
Yeah, go for it. You go for it.
I've heard this a lot. People say, Rajiv, I'm not a born salesman. Okay. And I laugh in my head at that point of time, because somewhere in my head, I'm a little bit of a joker. So in my head, this visual comes that is there any hospital on the planet where the moment a baby is born, the nurse says, Badhaiyo, salesperson paida hua hai. There is no hospital on the planet which issues a sales certificate instead of a birth certificate. So there's nothing called salesman being a born salesman. Salesmen are never born. Salesmen are built. How are they built? They're built through conversations. They're built through rejections. They're built through practice. They're built through role plays. They're built through coaching. You need to build yourself and your team as a salesperson through conversations and rejections. What do I mean by that? The best way to learn sales is to do sales. Okay? Only when you do it, do you understand what's working, what's not working. And there's never one single template of, oh, I have arrived and I can sell to anybody any day and they will buy. Even the best salespeople on the planet have rejections. In fact, that they have more rejections than average salespeople even have attempts. Yep. Because sales is the only profession on the planet where the more you get rejected, the more money you make. Now, some of you must be thinking, how does that make sense? Yes, that makes sense. More rejections means more attempts. More attempts means more deals as well. So it's about building yourself through the rejections, through the conversations. It's building yourself through role plays. You should always have someone within your team. Even if you're developing sales team members, you got to get them to do a role play with you where you demonstrate, you be the customer and they be the salesperson and they pitch to you, and you do vice versa with them. You do this through conversational practice. Okay, you put yourself in difficult situations and you see how you exercise the art of asking questions and come out of those difficult conversations in a sales scenario. So salespeople are built through rejections, through role plays, and through coaching. You get someone who's a sales mentor and a sales coach. Now, please don't get a sales mentor and a sales coach who's never done sales themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because there are quite a few out there. So you got to get someone who's been a sales coach, a sales mentor to give you feedback. That's how you build your sales capability. Remember, sales is a muscle. You got to work it out. Only then it grows. It's not something intellectual that you buy hard your product information and that's sales. That's not it. So salesmen are not born, they are built. You want to add something?
So what I mean, you honestly laid it all out. The passion is so obvious because, I mean, I know how passionate you are about sales. And I tell you, this is the mindset which most people miss, and it's what leads to the aversion towards sale. I mean, especially for business owners, I find this funny. There are so many business owners who don't like to sell because they don't want to go through the grind, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But like Rajiv said, the more rejections you get, the more money you make. The question is, are you willing to go through that chisel, to go through that grind, to build yourself and similarly build your team? And you need to fall in love with sales, my friends. If not, you're not in business. Your business thrives on sales. How can you not love sales? And the only way you love it is when you build yourself and build your team.
Yeah, I think the reason why, or let me put it this way: entrepreneurs who don't like selling should not be entrepreneurs.
How can you be an entrepreneur?
Get a job. Get a job. If you don't like selling, you don't have to do selling, but you got to love selling because that's the passion you will transfer to your sales team. Yeah. I know entrepreneurs who hire salespeople because they hate selling, and then they are aggressive with their salespeople saying, "You're not delivering, dude. Go out there and let's see if you come out without a wet pant." Okay, let me tell you something. Entrepreneurs who have this mindset of I don't like sales, sales is not my cup of tea, get a desk job. Get a safe desk job where you're protected and on the 10th of every month you get a fixed salary. Please understand this. Sales needs the respect. Sales deserves the respect. Sales is the lifeline of every business. Every sales professional has to be respected. Every sales conversation has to be respected. Let me put it this way. Sales is the most spiritually transforming activity on the planet. If you're seeking spiritual transformation, don't go to a Baba on a weekend for a weekend retreat. Go out there and do sales meetings, because when you put your identity on the line and you receive a rejection and you don't make it personal, that is when you're building your inner strength, and that is exploring your spirituality. So sales, according to me, is the most underrated activity on the planet. Even when I meet freshers, they say, I'll do any job but not sales. I'm like, loser.
You know, sales builds character.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, like, I mean, it's so, I know why the rage is coming. You know, a lot of people are commenting over there where the passion is showing up. It's because, I mean, we've been through all that. There are times where the chips were down and the only thing which got us through is our ability to sell. Yeah. In fact, let me tell you something. When you go through sales and when you do it relentlessly, that's what reflects your character. That's what shows you what you're truly made of. Because, you know, it's like going through the fire to kind of determine whether you're made of iron or you're made of plastic. And if you can't sell, you will melt, right?
And stick.
And pretty
because that's what happens to plastic when it goes through.
Absolutely. Fire. And another point which I want to build on, Rajiv, is that, you know, when you're saying entrepreneurs need to love sales, and when they don't love sales, they expect their team to deliver. If you don't do it yourself, you cannot build. Do not expect your team to go become geniuses in sales if you've not done it. You have to go through the grind so you can guide your team and build. If you've not gone through it yourself, how can you develop your team? Come on.
Show this video to every person. If you're a salesperson, if you're a proud salesperson, and if someone looks at you and say, "Oh, you're in sales," show them this video and let them know that their salary comes because of a salesperson. Just let them know.
Another dimension, Rajiv, when we've had this feedback while meeting with so many different major CEOs, most CEOs and business owners are ex-salesmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones who ultimately get on the leadership of an organization. Most of them, think about it.
Because they've put their self-esteem on the line for the sake of an organization.
Absolutely.
That's why I say salespeople deserve the respect. Salespeople need to be hero worshipped. They are the true heroes of an organization. They are the soldiers who fight the battle, while the operations guys are sitting safe with AC vents blowing air everywhere. Okay, so I want you to know this, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, when we're talking about sales, it's a critical conversation for any business owner, for any business owner. And you need to know this, that it's a skill. It's not something that you're born with. It's a skill. It's a skill that takes the right knowledge, the right amount of practice, the right amount of mentoring and coaching. So if this is something that you want to explore, reach out to us, because by now you should know we're good at this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, to tell you this, I'm not from another person as good as this man over here. You've seen the passion, you've seen the rage. He's a maniac when it comes to selling, as long as he has conviction of what he's selling.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, there's a method to this madness. So we'd be happy to help anyone who wants to develop their selling skills to work with us, to mentor them, to coach them. We have a method to do that. So reach out to us if sales is a pain area and you've realized that it's an area that you need to work on. Having said that, I think we're done teaching from our end. What we'd love to do is answer a few questions with regards to sales. So type out your questions in the comments section, and we'll take as many questions as we can tonight before we have to head back home. So type out your questions around sales. What are the situations, challenges you face when it comes to selling to your customers, or when it comes to building a sales team? We'd be happy to answer and take those questions. So let me scroll through the comments and see if we already have any questions. Argya says, in sales, every situation is different customers and different needs. So handling of each customer is different as per situations. Absolutely, Argya. And that's why I say sales is a spiritual activity, because you've never arrived. Like every entrepreneur would have faced this. You would have done an amazing sales meeting and you suddenly feel like you're the Greek god of sales on this planet. And you go in for your next meeting and it turns out to be a disaster. Every meeting, every customer, every prospect, every conversation is totally different. So you can never take sales for granted. That's the beauty of sales. You got to be 100% present in that moment and understand needs and then offer your solutions.
That's why it's a skill, because only when you master the skill can you apply it in every situation.
Yeah.
If not, it's a template which can't work.
Yeah. So Amit says, how to reach overseas client without visiting them. Writing a book is good for branding and lead magnet. Well, Amit, what you're talking about, if it's opening a door, that's a marketing problem. That's not a sales problem. Remember this, sales comes in once the marketing has done its job of generating an inquiry or a lead. Okay, so you need to figure out a mechanism for marketing to overseas clients so that they inquire for business with you, then sales. And we're not going to answer a marketing question today because today is not a Facebook Live for marketing. Yes. So Amit, sleep on that question. Okay, Shibaram, it's a good idea to do some homework and tell them these are the problems your business might have, and I would like to know whether you feel the same, and if yes, I have the solution. Well, Shibaram, that's risky, and I'll tell you why it's risky. If you generalize problems and take it to a client saying these are the most common problems a business like yours has, you are running into a risk, because let's just say they don't have those problems, then you're stumped. Because you don't know what to do, because they say none of these are our problems, then what will you do? Instead, a better approach is to ask questions, is to have certain questions to ask before even you start talking about your products and your services. So have open-ended questions and don't go in with presumptions and assumptions, because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, ASS, you, me. So don't assume.
But having said that, it's a useful activity to do research about your potential customer to understand what they need. But as you said, don't assume. Go there, ask questions, and make sure that you come to the right conclusion.
Okay. Anil Valeta, what is your take on follow-ups? Okay. Do you want me to do that?
Go for it.
So let's do Anil. Follow-ups requires two contradictory words to work in perfect balance. Let me put those two contradictory words to you. Firstly, a salesperson should be persistent in following up, which means you cannot give up till you hear a no, till you hear an explicit no. And when they give you a no, you thank them for giving you the no, and you tell them, hey, while you've given me a no, I'm completely okay with that. Having said that, can I make a request to you? Let us close this chapter of selling here. Can we be professional friends? Because I believe in building a relationship with every person I interact with. So you close on the sales conversation even if it didn't work out, and you keep the relationship alive. So you got to persist. Now, having said that you have to persist, here's the other contradiction. You got to persist with patience. Now, you must be wondering, persistence equals going after, patience means waiting. That is the fine balance that you have to master. You have to persist and yet give them enough time to respond. Persist does not mean you make a call, they disconnect your call, and you continue calling in the next 60 seconds 5 times, and they're disconnecting every single time saying, Rajiv told me to persist. Don't be stupid. Don't take everything that I say at literal sense. Understand the balance. It's persistence with patience. I got to persist, yet give my customer time. Like, I love this phrase. I don't know where I heard it years ago, but the phrase said, wait, but don't stop. Which means, wait, give people time to respond. Let them know you're giving them time to respond, but don't stop following up.
So there's another angle to this, Rajiv, which I think is very, very pertinent when it comes to follow-up, is that most people don't set the context up in their sales meeting. And sometimes because of that, either they have a fear of following up because they're going to expect a no, or when they're following up, they don't get a response. And that's a big challenge a lot of people face, that people don't respond. So my take on that is that, when you're following up, even before the follow-up process starts in the sales meeting itself, it's important to build a relationship in the context of asking your customer and seeking permission that you are going to follow up with them, with the intention that your need to follow up is not to close the sale, is for you to get clarity. Because, hey, let's face it, there are going to be people who are going to say yes to you, there are going to be people who are going to say no to you. But having that transparent conversation that I'm okay with whatever you're going to say, all I want is clarity and communication is important to set up.
Absolutely.
And that's what will give you permission.
So you need to set rules. When in your initial interactions itself, you need to set up all of these are hygiene factors and ground rules. Yep. And most entrepreneurs don't do this because they feel, yo, it's my client. How can I ask the client? Yeah. Okay. So what? So what if they're a client? They don't have horns and a tail. And even if they do, so what? Okay. You're human. They are human. You're doing what you're doing for a living. They're doing what they're doing for a living. And if you keep that commonality in place, you will be able to ask them what you need from their side and say, hey, all I need is clarity.
By buying a product from you, they are not doing you a favor. They're giving you money, but they're providing a product and service. It's not for free.
Yeah, it's a win-win. You are adding value and they are adding value as well. So, Anil, that's our entire theory on follow-ups. I hope you got notes on that one. Vishal's question, till what extent we should pitch to the client? I think this is more like an overlap question of what Anil said, that to what extent you got to keep following up and persisting. So Vishal, I hope you got value from what we shared. Hiral's question, I'm into business consulting for sales and marketing. A client to understand that he also has to take part in selling and not just me. Well, Hiral, this is a lot to do with your sales steps and your sales scripts. So let me put it this way. Selling is a science. And here's the science we teach. We're not going to give you the details of the science on a Facebook Live because we have customers who pay us money for this, and it would be unfair on them if we give it out just like that. But let me put down the framework of the science. For every business, you need to have clear steps, time from when the customer starts interacting with you till the time the customer buys. That's the sales process. You've got to break it down into steps. In each step, you need to have scripts. What to say, what not to say. And you can't rely on one script because there are multiple scenarios that show up in sales. That's how dynamic sales is. So you got to keep building a repository of situations and have scripts for them ready. So second step is to have scripts. So steps, then scripts. Then you got to develop skills. Now these are skills that we teach. How do you ask questions? How do you generate commitments? How do you get the customer to agree to what you want them to do? All of these are skills. So you need to develop those skills. How do you negotiate? How do you handle objections that customers raise? So you need to develop those skills. And then you need to have support materials. So to set up a sales system, you need to have these 4 S's: steps, scripts, skills, support materials. You want to learn this? Reach out to us. Ting, ting, ting. That was an ad break, ladies and gentlemen. But you need to understand that's what it takes. You got to build all of these things. Yeah. Neocon Optics says next on marketing, guys. Okay.
The next they're talking about the next Facebook
Live. Neocon, I will not give you what you want. No, kidding. We'll do one. Okay. Girish, is a sales pitch for a product different from a sales pitch for a service?
Honestly, no, because whether it is a product or a service, the pitch is about showcasing how the product or the service is adding value to the need or the problem.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The only other thing is probably in the steps. There may be a different step. When it's a product, you may have to demonstrate a product, but that's just a small little tactical deviation.
You also need to sometimes demonstrate the service to show them a demo or a trial period. So many service companies have that. But the pitch is not necessarily depends. It purely depends on what you're selling.
It's a conversation. Absolutely. Edwin says, how do you keep up with nurturing a relationship with your leads or clients as they reach hundreds and thousands? Well, Edwin, if you're in a B2C business and you have hundreds and thousands of customers, keeping up a relationship does not mean that you have to personally call them and say, hi, hello, how are you? Keeping a relationship could mean that you are constantly feeding them with content and information that is engaging and interesting and adding value to their lives. That's one way of keeping up a relationship. There are multiple other ways. The generic ways are most people have databases of customers and then they send birthday wishes and anniversary wishes. I find that pretty monotonous. If you're doing birthday and anniversary wishes, here's a tip. This is a classic strategy, giving it away for free. Don't wish them on their birthday and anniversary. Wish them after 2 days of their birthday and anniversary, saying, hey, I'm sending you this message 2 days after your birthday because on your birthday, everybody would have wished you. And I didn't want to get lost in all the messages that you received. So I am sending you this 2 days later. Stand out. That is the key formula. You got to stand out and grab attention of people. Once you have attention, then you ask questions. Once you ask questions, you ask a commitment. Once you ask commitment, then you ask for money. So attention, ask questions, ask for commitment, and then ask for money. These are the 4 aces you got to use in sales.
You just keep coming up with terminologies on the go, right?
You're born to do this.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. Shibaram, let's say the prospect says, I can't afford you now. What next? Ask them to stay in the loop or strike out the lead. Keep the relationship up, Shibaram. Tell them no problem. If not now, sometime in the future, let's keep the relationship going. Okay. So keep the conversation and the relationship up. I've had people who have told us when they come back and sign up for our business coaching, they've told us that they kept a goal to work and achieve that goal so that they could afford and work with us on coaching. So that's because we keep the relationship up.
Right.
So you want to understand this. When you keep the relationship up, the customer makes it their goal to raise up themselves to buy from you. Think about it as a paradigm for selling.
And if the need is there and the value is there, they will figure it a way when they are ready. Allow them to be ready. It's fine.
Vaibhav says, how to find the right customers or clients. Well, Vaibhav, that's an entire process of business modeling. If you have a challenge, Vaibhav, drop us a message. Our team reach, come in for a program. Let's start. Because if you have that, you don't know how to find the right customer, then you need coaching.
Yeah.
So, Tapobrata Chatterjee. So persistent follow-ups are intended to get clarity on the call with patience is what we can summarize. Absolutely. It's a skill. It's a capability. You can't be pushy. You can't be too timid as well. Here's the other balance. A lot of people either are too aggressive and pushy or are too passive and timid. Neither are healthy. Because if you're too aggressive, then obviously you cheese people off. Okay, and if you're too passive, you don't get what you want. So you got to find that fine balance. Okay,
I want to add another dimension to that. Another objective of a follow-up is to also give yourself an opportunity to handle any kind of resistance and objections which may come. As long as you're setting the context for clarity, you'll set up your client to tell you what is stopping them. In fact, when you are pushy or when you don't set up that clarity, your client refrains from telling you what's stopping them. When they do tell you, you can give them a solution which will increase the possibility of sale. That's another objective of follow-up.
Absolutely. Let's look at the next question. Pranav Deshmukh, want to know more about the And Diary. Well, Pranav, this is not the place. Yeah. I know you're inviting me to sell right now and I'm so tempted. I'm salivating. Okay, but I won't sell right now. But here's what I would do, Pranav. Drop me a message in my inbox with your phone number and my team will give you a call and give you a brief on how the And Life Planner works and why it is useful for you. So just drop us a message. What are the 4 S's for service sales pitch? Okay, Tapobrata, the same 4 S's. Yeah. Okay, what are the 4 S's? I have no idea what 4 S's are. Okay, let's look at another question. Okay, Neeta says, yes, I'm also in that queue and I'm also preparing myself to join your MBA program. Neeta, thank you so much for that trust and faith in us. And we promise you one thing. The moment you come on board to MBA, your success is personal. So just come. Rashmi, sometimes we are not able to complete needs of customers as they want. After that, their perception changes that we will not be able to provide options later on. How to handle this situation? So Rashmi, it's a thing of clarity and confusion. And I was impressed by this. So my wife runs an event company and a wedding planning company. And she had a mega wedding company with her family. And they booked a 5-star hotel. And the 5-star hotel said that they give them the hall only at 6 p.m. and the function starts at 6:30 p.m. and the setup that they wanted for the wedding is pretty elaborate. Making that kind of commitment, any wedding planner or event manager with integrity would tell you in 30 minutes to put the kind of elaborate setup is not a possibility. The customer is already sold. And here's what my wife did. She went back and spoke the truth. She said, I cannot take this project because it would be a lie if I just take the advance from you and say, don't worry, I'll get it done. Because on that day, I know practically that this kind of a setup will at least take 60 to 90 minutes. So I don't want to lie to you. That's why I'm saying no to you. So when you set up that kind of clarity, you may not close the deal in that moment, but you really build admiration, okay? And you build that respect. And then that customer, even if they don't buy from you, they will come to you for recommendations, solutions, and the next opportunity that they get, they will come and buy from you. They blindly trust you. So have clarity of expectation. Now, having said that, on the other side, let's just say based on what you address, Ashmi, let's just say you agreed on something. You created clarity. You put it on paper. You emailed the expectations to your customer saying, this is what we will be delivering. And then the customer over demands and is not willing to compensate for those new set of demands. Then please understand that that customer lacks integrity. And if you figure out that that person lacks integrity and is being overtly demanding even after there was clarity of expectations set, then please call out that behavior compassionately and with respect, saying, hey, but we've agreed upon this is the scope of work and now you're adding new dimensions and you are feeling upset for me to say no to it or me to charge you for it. Have that conversation candidly. In all honesty, Rashmi, here's what I say. Customers play hanky-panky with entrepreneurs and salespeople who do not have enough conviction.
Yep.
But when you carry conviction, clarity, and compassion, three things. When you carry conviction in what you do, you have clarity throughout the process, and you are compassionate. You're a fair person. You're not a salesperson who comes with an attitude saying, if we can, we'll do it, otherwise we want. Then you should have that compassion to serve. But you should also have the conviction to draw the line. When you have these three elements of compassion, clarity, and conviction, that time no customer will play hanky-panky with you. Customers mess around with salespeople who have a very weak aura. So as an entrepreneur, if you're a new entrepreneur, it will take you probably a few projects, few months, few years to develop that conviction. Or just my words, if you're able to internalize it, you can probably generate that conviction from the inside.
It needs to be win-win. If it's not win-win, it doesn't work.
Yeah, if it's not win-win, it doesn't work. I'm telling you, like, we've had experiences when we used to sell top training. We used to have some large organizations. If I name them, the founders would feel ashamed. But some large organizations say, do training for free for us. Having our name on your PowerPoint presentation will add value to you. Our logo carries weightage. In my head, I would go like, what kind of an upbringing has this person gone through to even ask someone to work for free? And I have done a very passionate video sometime back on customers also need ethics. If you're a salesperson and if you're a business owner, go search that, or probably I'll tell my team to pull out that link and post it. Customers also need ethics, ladies and gentlemen. So don't treat customer like this king and whatever customer says, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. No, it has to be a win-win, or you don't have such people in your energy at all. We believe that everything in life is an energy game, and when someone does not align to your energy, someone does not have the right energy, keep them away. And
that's why the tips which we mentioned are important. If you want to pull this off, that's when you need to master the selling, so you're not obligated because of lack of customers to do what your customer says. You got to make sure you build your skills so that you can go to the next day.
Absolutely. Nikita says there are situations where the customer has liked our products, pricing is agreed upon, still they take their own fancy time to confirm their orders. How to combat this? It's a part of the skill.
Yep.
That's what I said. You need to ask commitment. You need to teach your customer how to make decisions, because the truth is, Nikita, human beings hate to make decisions. They rather live with their problems than make a decision. And sales requires, or buying requires a customer to make a decision.
Yep.
And most customers don't want to make a decision. They want to run away from decision making. So as a part of your skills, sales is actually like coaching. You got to coach people to buy. Okay, that's what you got to do in a sales conversation.
But also be okay with the fact that everybody's not going to buy.
Absolutely.
You need to accept that. Everybody's not a customer.
Yep. So you got to have that skill, Nikita. Kamlak says, how can you make your own client your salesperson? I am 40% success in this process. Please guide. Kamlak, that's a good enough ratio. Please be happy with it.
Yeah.
Okay, please be happy.
That's a direct function of how happy they are with your products and services, and I think you're doing a good job at that person.
what kind of relationship you or your team has with the customer, which makes them patrons, but they go out there and sell for you. Rajesh says, how to take control of the situation when we increase the product price and the customers are coming and asking the old price.
Interesting.
Rajesh, so it's like this, and I believe that I don't get offended when a customer tries to negotiate, because I believe it's every customer's right to negotiate, and it's every business owner's right to reject the negotiation. So if you truly mean that price hike, then explain to them the logic and the rationale behind it, and tell them, because you had a long-standing relationship with them already, tell them to honor and respect that relationship, and honor and respect the fact that you have growing demands and needs, and you still are adding massive value to them, and the price you're charging is way lesser than the value you are adding. Tell them, yaar, itna mat socho, just continue the relationship and let's keep it at this new price, because the old price is not working for us, and hold your ground with a lot of love and compassion. It's all about holding the ground. Okay, the first person to leave the ground is the one who loses the ground. So please remember this.
On the other hand, Rajiv, I believe if the relationship is maintained in a proper manner, and if you've added value in the past, customers are willing to pay you more because they understand the value. So it's also a function of that. My belief is that if you're reselling to your customer and your customer is not willing to pay you more, then probably it's a function of a relationship. Yes, customers are not very open to paying more, but if the value is there, when it comes down to it, draw the line, just like how Rajiv said, they're willing to do it.
Yeah. Who else? We have Tapobrata Chatterjee. How can a late, responsive, or passive client be pitched to bring into an active sales pitch, or rather the call to a prospective client, if you may please guide? Tapobrata, if you feel that you have a passive client, just call them and say, hey, I was thinking about you. I was thinking that we've not spoken. And I was thinking that we've had this conversation, and why have we not taken things forward? So what will it take for us to take things forward?
Yep.
Just be direct. There's no real script to this. Be direct and be casual. Here's the other thing, guys. Casual is the new formal.
Yep.
Gone are the days where you had to suit up, tie up, and go there like a slave and say, pull me with the tie or hang me with the tie or do what you want. Today, it's a game of relationship. The more casual you are, the more connected you are. The more connected you are, the more your conversion ratio is. Because if you're too stuck up, okay, either the person sees you as too formal and intimidating and they don't open up, or they see you as uptight and they don't relate to you. So please understand, ease up a little bit. You have a doubt, why are you assuming? Ask the question to the client, saying, hey, how come the conversation fell out? What is required for us to revive that conversation? State the obvious and ask it from the customer itself. They'll guide you about the selling process. Okay. Anil says, I need a video of this. Anil, do me a favor. Share the video once we post it. Okay.
It's on the live.
It's on live. It's going to be there. Okay. Share it. Make more people watch it again and again. Okay. Shailesh says, I have a tendency to undercommit and overperform, but I feel that certain times people feel that I'm not confident. What do I do? Shailesh, I think underpromise delivery is great, but don't undersell yourself from the point of view of don't undermine your value while you're selling.
Yeah.
And of course, marketing has to do its job, and marketing is about showing people that you're good at what you do and establishing that confidence in them. So based on what you're saying, I don't know if you're undercommitting in a project scenario. In that case, as long as you are drawing out a clear scope of work and the customer is agreeing to that scope of work, that's fine. But otherwise, you market yourself, because the days of my work will speak for me is gone. Today, you need to speak for yourself. Your work has to speak.
So I think there's another angle to say, probably what he may be going through is that he doesn't want to put it too much, okay, and he wants to deliver more, but that's coming across that might come to a conclusion that he's not capable. So what I would say is that you need to commit to what the client wants in terms of value, as long as it makes sense to you. Saying no, that I won't do this when your client is asking, and then doing it later, it will definitely make the client feel that you're not confident. But commit to what the client wants and then more. That is what you need to understand. It will display lack of confidence.
So the next question, Harmeet Kelly says, how can someone who's starting in sales have a sales pipeline as full or prospecting? Harmeet, you can't.
Yeah.
It's a process.
And it's a function of marketing.
And you got to accept that it's a process. You got to accept that it's going to take time. And you got to, while you are accepting it's not really it's going to take effort. So you've got to put in that consistency of effort till you hit that cycle of building a pipeline for yourself. So just commit yourself to the process and build through it. There's no real shortcut to that one, Harmeet. Also with that, I think we should call it a day.
Yes, we should.
Okay, you guys are home. We are not yet home, so we're going to go back home. Thank you so much for being here on this Facebook Live with Karan and me. If you found value in it, we'd love for you to share this Facebook Live once we post it on the wall. And in the comments, drop and tell us what did you learn from this conversation on sales tips for business owners. With that, this is me, Talreja, signing off. And look forward to seeing you guys in our next Facebook Live.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.